Welcome to Thursday Reviews. Today we have a Kaito Voyager radio to review that has wind-up functionality and a bunch of other stuff that I'll show you.
Here it is. It comes in several different colors. These are quite common, but are they any good? These things are feature-filled and designed to be used in emergency situations. I'll go over that in more detail later. It has 4 types of radio: AM, FM, shortwave, and a weather band. AM is the extended band to include the full range, up to 1710 kHz. FM includes standard 87.5 MHz to 108. Shortwave is split into 2 bands, with the first going from 3.2 MHz to 10, and shortwave 2 going from 10 to 22 MHz. The weather section is controlled by this switch. The 7 channels are displayed here. Where I am in Oregon, I get channel 7 on the radio. The power switch has several settings and modes. This is because there are tons of ways to power this thing. The battery mode is for when you put in AA batteries into this compartment, which is impossible to close on mine. The next mode over is solar crank DC. This is all the external power sources. It does have a crank, but it takes forever, so it's better to just power it separately if at all possible. It does have a solar panel on the back that just flips up to start charging. For some reason, I have a hard time getting this feature to work. I probably just need to leave it in the sun longer. Typical impatient me, I guess. Hiding behind this flap are all the hookups. There is a full-size USB port, which is only USB out, and is switchable from this switch. It also has an earphone output, which is stereo, and sounds pretty good. The 2 power inputs are micro USB and a barrel plug, center positive. I usually just use the micro USB port. As far as the radio goes, the reception is a bit iffy. It uses a DSP tuning system which digitally tunes the station even though you're turning a dial. As you turn it, it makes these chopping noises as it rapidly steps through the frequencies. It's not ideal, but I guess it's not a deal breaker. The biggest downfall for me, at least, is the reception of AM, and really even shortwave. It's pretty hard to get much of anything on AM. Shortwave is almost a joke. They have a lot of stations, but in only 2 bands. You have to be very precise with your tuning, otherwise you'll just skip over it and good luck finding it again. Weather band does okay, though. Let's go over the rest of the stuff here while we're at it. These 3 lights are high, low, and tuning. The high and low is for battery power, and tuning lights up green if you tune into a clear station. On the side is a volume knob and tuning dial. You notice the light? That is controlled from this switch. The first position turns on a reading lamp tucked under the solar panel. The second position is SOS. It does not flash SOS in Morse code, but it does turn on a blinking red light. Red LEDs are nice because of their low power consumption. Even after the radio should be totally dead, like mine, these lights will still work. The third position is the brighter white light along with an LED in the screen. Say for example the power went out. That would be useful for finding the correct station. The antenna is stored here and is about a mile long. Well, the exact length is 14.5 inches or 36.83 centimeters. This is a NOAA radio. Not only can you tune into the 7 channels, but you can leave it on the NOAA setting on the radio, which leaves the device off, but when there's a signal for a severe weather alert from NOAA, it wakes up and starts playing the alert. This thing is not that small. It's roughly 7 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches by 2 inches thick. It's pretty chunky. That's 19.69 centimeters by 12.07 centimeters by 5.08 centimeters thick. That doesn't matter too much though because it's really meant for emergencies. You can just leave it on a counter somewhere and forget about it. It stands up pretty easily. Now, my radio is red. You probably already knew that, but it also comes in black, green, yellow, and blue. I've had mine for quite a few years, and Kaito still sells these on Amazon for $50. The battery is a 600 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride. Here are some specs on the radio, which is in the middle, along with some other higher end models. I think we should see this thing in action.
Alright, I think it's time to power it up, show it in action with my insanely short micro USB cable, which is going to make this a little awkward. And of course it goes in that way. Now I'm having issues. There we go. Yep, that's how short the cable is, so now I have to hold it at this kind of this weird angle. It says charging, even though it does have a built-in battery, so it's charging the built-in battery. Like I just said, we're going to demo this radio, and YouTube hopefully will not give me a copyright match on anything here. I'm just going to quickly breeze through the stations. There's probably going to be some good songs that we're going to, you know, not be able to hear. But firstly, we're on FM, which is weird. I never even realized that. The order of the actual bands is FM, AM, shortwave 1, and shortwave 2, but on here they listed as AM, FM, shortwave 1, and shortwave 2. So I'm using the DC in. So it says solar, crank, and DC. So I go over to that one. 2 clicks. Can't hear anything because I have it all the way down. FM radio is like 1,000 times louder than everything else, so start at the beginning. I'll turn it up, even though it's probably a bad idea.
And we just get hell on earth.
I'll extend the antenna to give it a better chance here. Let me move my tripod so you can see this better. You saw I did not touch the volume. I don't know what to do.
We should have about 30 seconds left. What would you...
Verses begins, "Oh, how the grace of God amazes me."
Regret seeing it on my statement when I...
Let's see if you can hear that DSP tuning I was talking about, the choppy tuning. Listen. Hear how it's choppy like that? That's not a mechanical dial. It's a dial that's digitally tuning the station. Whoops, my light. That's the first time. That's the first time since December that my video light has died. So now that I finally did a review on it, now that I'm finally using it, it dies. Well, sorry, it's gonna be all dim. So you get the idea. Let's go over to AM. We'll go to the beginning. Again, AM is much quieter. I mean, what am I even listening to? It says I'm tuned into something, but...
New CEO, subsequent personnel changes, and even a congressional hearing on September 24th. Today on Radio Survivor, we're joined by renowned experts in government-sponsored radio. Welcome, James Kearney.
There, you can hear that DSP tuning in action. It's not mechanical tuning. Well, you know, it's... What am I listening to? A helicopter starting up? I mean, this thing is really kind of weird. And shortwave. I think shortwave's kind of loud, too. Yeah. Not as loud as FM, but it's... I mean, look at this. Watch how gently I'm going to turn this... I mean, here, look... Whoa, whoa. Let me knock my camera around, but watch how gently I'm going to turn this here. And just watch how many stations it scans through. It's very sensitive. they only put two shortwave bands here, and so all the stations are really close together. It's almost impossible to get to the one you want. And almost all of them, it says that it's good, like it tuned in a lot of stations. But I'm not hearing anything. Okay, I'll go over to shortwave 2. I've picked up one AM station and no shortwave. And yes, this is turned up all the way, by the way. It doesn't go any more than that. That's a whole lot of nothing on shortwave. Okay, let's turn the volume down, and we're going to switch to the weather band all the way to the left.
Seconds. West swell 6 feet at 12 seconds. Tuesday night, north wind 15 to 20 knots. Gusts at 25 knots, becoming 20 knots.
And
after
yes,
midnight.
again, that's up all the way.
Wind waves north 4 feet at 6 seconds. Northwest swell 7 feet at 12 seconds. Forecast for the waters from Cape Shoalwater, Washington to Cascade Head, Oregon.
The only channel you can get in Oregon is number 7. I can almost kind of hear something on channel 6.
Seconds. Tonight, north wind 10 to 20 knots with gusts to 25 knots. Wind waves north 4 feet at 6 seconds. West swell 4.
So there you go. Also, I thought now that this is charging now, let me demonstrate the lights a little better. So the first light is the reading lamp. They call it a reading lamp. You just flip up the solar panel, and there's a strip of LEDs down here. So I'm all like tangled up in these cords. But there's a little reading lamp here that it's a very dim, low power. I mean, it is a white LED, so it's not totally low power. But, you know, just gives you enough to read something. The second setting is the one that's pretty cool. The SOS, it doesn't flash in Morse code or anything, but it has the blinking. And because it's a red LED, you can wait until this thing almost completely discharges the battery, and it'll still light up that red light, because red LEDs take almost no power to turn on, as I said earlier. And then the last position turns on the bright white LED, because there's 2 LEDs in there. I don't really know how they did that. And it turns on the light inside the display dial thing here. So, yeah, you got that. So it's 4 positions. The reading lamp, SOS, which they call SOS, and then the bright light that uses the most power. So here it is, nice little radio. I guess it's not very little, pretty chunky, but it's very convenient that it has the crank handle and tons of ways to power it. The solar panel's a nice touch, even though I kinda sorta still have never figured out how to get it to work. Now, off to my left, like, okay, take a look. That's my video light off, which I reviewed. If your device uses cards, then there you go. But anyway, take a look at what's off to my left here. A giant window. And yet I'm tilting it up to the sunlight, just like it says, but the charging light does not light up. So I'm not too sure. I could turn it... Okay, solar, crank, and DC. Not really working, but I'm sure there's something I'm doing wrong. Now it does say tilt up to adapt to sunlight, so maybe if you left it like that for an hour or two, or possibly more, then it would adapt, and maybe that was what charges it. I'm not really sure, but I don't have the patience for that, so I haven't really given it a full test. You know, maybe I will do that sometime, and I'll make an update video to this. Just check the description, or if there's a card that just appeared up there, then I may have done an extra episode to this, a Thursday Reviews bonus. Not really too sure. A lot of little things I like about it. It's just a nice thing to kind of keep on a desk somewhere, or, you know, just keep it, because not too long ago, although by the time this video goes up, it'll have been a fair while ago, the whole West Coast remembers the great fires that were happening all over the place in Washington, Oregon, and California. Well, we lost power for 15 hours. 10 p.m. until 1 p.m. the next day. We did not have power. And it would have been nice to be able to listen to severe weather alerts on this. Of course, that would have meant I would have had to crank it up, because I don't use this thing as much because it is big, but it's very convenient having that, because in an emergency situation like a power outage, kind of nice to be able to at least have the option to tune into a weather radio band or anything like that, because again, we were having severe smoky weather during the time, and the power was out. We couldn't use air conditioners, which may have been a good thing. You know, could be debated, of course. Yeah, just a lot of little things on this that I've already talked about that I like. And would I recommend getting one of these? Absolutely. This thing, what they claim on Amazon is using, you know, it's just using they're doing it the correct way. Everything on here, it's an actual NOAA certified radio. It's not just something that they just slap the logo onto. It does comply with the standards. And I've never tested the NOAA weather thing where it'll wake up to NOAA if there's a severe alert, which is probably a good thing, because I don't like when that kind of stuff happens, because that usually means severe weather that you might not want to be dealing with. But yeah, I'm sure it works just fine. And yeah, I'm kind of rambling on through these, sorry about that. If you like these more rambly style endings, then there you go. And if you don't like the color, well, you saw earlier, it comes in tons of different colors. Just look it up on Amazon for yourself to see what one you want. And yeah, it seems like one of the more common colors I tend to see is yellow. So a lot of people like to get the yellow ones. Well, you certainly won't miss it in a power outage, because that reflects quite a bit of color, quite a bit of light. Well, that'll be it for this video. What are you pointing at? Oh yeah, I have tapes over here. Well, that might give you a little idea of what next week's episode will be, but yeah, you'll just have to wait and see what that's all about. For now, that appears to be it. I will see you next time.